Good morning today, 117. Again, no labour on site again today, but I'm meant to have a meeting with a contractor to find out what's actually going on and what the next steps are. That was meant to be yesterday, but apparently couldn't make it. But anyway, I thought I'd come up and just quickly show you after now a day of 24 hours at least of obviously being out in the open. Sort of gives you some telltale signs whether it was a good or bad pour. Obviously the polish, as we've discussed, isn't quite where it needs to be, so that might be something that can be rectified at another stage. But I'll show you a few things for argument's sake. Starting to see rust coming through pretty much everywhere. Sorry, it was an incoming call. Right, yeah, so there's rebar here obviously in the middle of the walkway for some reason. So again, that's now going to have to be dug out and cut out. There's rebar in door frames, again, it's going to have to be removed, which is unfortunately a little bit of a pain. Perfect example here, the main doorway into the house comes through here. We'll have to lose at least one, maybe two, I'm not too sure. I mean, it's got to be central to that wall, so we might get away with the one, but with my luck it'll probably be two. Obviously finishing off, like I said yesterday, things like that are going to have to be done. But one thing I am noticing today, mainly on the inside of the house, not mainly on the outside. I mean, that was very heavy steel there, so maybe that weighed down. But everywhere throughout the house, I'm seeing stuff like this. So you can physically see the steel at the surface. We're meant to be at least 2 inches down. There's rust patches within 24 hours coming up absolutely everywhere. So, I mean, you've even got a hole straight down to the rebar there. So we're definitely going to have to unfortunately do something with the floor in here because it's absolutely everywhere. Now it's inside obviously, so it's not as if this is going to be open to the elements from a rain point of view, but obviously the wind, the salt wind here is absolutely devastatingly bad. So if I don't do something with it, then all that's going to happen is it's still going to get the actual, it's still going to keep on receiving the salt air, which means it will just carry on. So I need to get the steel fixers out and maybe the rebar guys out and just try and find out if there's anything that can be done, because at the moment it's absolutely everywhere, which means that we certainly can't use this as our finished floor, that's for sure. Morning, Wayne. I mean, not too sure if that is one, but again, look at this one. It's literally down to the... It's really bad. And again, this is meant to be polished concrete, so there's no way this can be a polished floor. A polished floor would look like over the back. So the last part they did was over here, look. This is polished. So, you know, not as good as I want it to be, but that is polished. The whole floor is meant to be like that. But again, the odd place is like that. So, anyway, it's just turned up now, so I'll grab him, walk around, and see what we're doing moving forward with each other. Or not, obviously. Fingers crossed. Just starting to take the actual boxwork. So on the front, the actual stilts have been taken away now, jacks, acros, whatever they call them. And now we're actually starting to take off the formwork. So the formwork's come off the side here, as you can see where it was plastered up to and the concrete's poured down to. It's quite a while. So come around the front. So the acros have been taken off down here as well. The outer 4x2s that hold everything together have been taken off as well. So now it's a case of doing what they're doing there, unscrew and remove. We're going to try and do that with everything. And then hopefully we're going to start laying blocks tomorrow. That's the plan at the moment. So plenty of updates to do in order to do that. So it's removing formwork. It's marking out where the windows everything need to go. It's also cutting out the rebar and everything that's in the wrong places that we've talked about. Perfect example. 3 bits of rebar hanging up for a window, which I'm not too sure why. I'm not even too sure what those 3 bits are. It's not as if they're big long ones like these, but one thing we did do as well, we've managed to scrape up a couple of the areas that we seem to see marks on. There's one perfect example. And apparently it's wood. So we're not too sure why, but apparently in a few different areas we've got wood. Wood in the floor. How the hell is wood got in the concrete? Another one here. So the good news is it's not the steel, because obviously steel would be a big problem. So I'm hoping that all of them are like it. And I've just looked around the building, and the plaster, we seem to have loads of little brown, reddy spots all around the actual, again, they're on there, look. So it's actually wood in the concrete. And we seem to have that around the side of the building as well, which is very strange. But anyway, I'm going to try and analyse all of them. We're going to have to be pulled up and obviously patched in, which I'm sure we can do. So that's another job for later on this afternoon. Okay, so I don't know what we've actually covered today so far. It's been one of those whirlwind moments. A big meeting with the owner of the business. Hi Wayne, how are you? Nearly 4 hours in all fairness. Just discussing the plan, frustrations, budget and overspend process. A couple of issues we're actually having on the build so far, and also trying to make sure that we're at a stage now where now is the time to actually get a grip of where we are and what we've done and what we're not doing. So I had a bit of a talk at him. He patiently listened. He did the same back. I wasn't so patient. And we both agreed to try and get to the point where we can work with each other moving forward better. And obviously he needs to put more people on here in management and be more in attendance. So that was pretty much what we come to. In the meantime, the guys, my supervisor Wayne, who's been in now for a week and a half, who's fitted in very, very well. He started getting the labourers to take off the boxing, so I'll show you that quickly. All of the form work like this here, there was meant to be a team of carpenters that were employed to put up and take down. I don't think we really need them back. I mean, he's paid them to do it, but without being rude, 2 labourers and my man have pretty much done most of it anyway, so apart from a couple of minor parts, it's pretty much done. So I'd much rather not have those individuals back. Tomorrow, hopefully, I don't know when, but we need blocks delivered ASAP, and we need masons, bricklayers in our world. They need to start blocking up as soon as possible before they do any of that. I want my man to be pulling lines, because one of the problems we are having here is there's a lot of things that don't seem to be right because people are using tape measures rather than lines. For you at home, don't really understand what that means. The architect has obviously designed this building, and every single part is A to G and 1 to 9, and at any point you can pull those lines and you know exactly where you're meant to be, both in size, length, width, right down to knowing where a sink's meant to be placed. So to give you an example, here is the end of the cottage, as everyone calls it, the annex stroke cottage. That's a 40-foot building, which means it is dead centre of the whole plot. Now if I spin around, you can see, number one, that the swimming pool line isn't actually in line with that line. It doesn't have to be, but being a bit anal as I am, you'd like to normally see a line going right through. It gives you the whole eye draw. Also, as you start walking towards that pillar, as you can see, the pillar is pissed. So the downside is this is a big pillar, as you can see by the thickness of the steel. So to try and get that now straight is going to be very difficult. As you can see at the bottom, you've got one in the middle, it's meant to be in the middle, and you've got one that's meant to be to the right. They're all meant to be equal apart, and they're not. So that's going to have to be redone. And then obviously you'd put a line straight through that column, and that would line up with this rebar through the middle here. And at some stage, if you had a line at the very end there, which would be whatever number it is, let's say it's number 6, then you'd pull it right through and you can see where your lines are straight. And that's for everything, from knowing where the kitchen is going to be. There's a breakfast bar, and as you can see, they're all in a line, but they're not exactly in a straight line. That's because no one pulled a line. This one is actually going to be a concrete wall, so it has to be bloody straight. Forgive the rebar being all drunk, but again, they should all be on a dead straight line. So the previous manager just didn't pull any lines, which is the other reason why, like I said the other day, why we've got rebar, as you can see here, window number 5, We've now marked out to and from, and now got a bit of rebar in the middle, which has got to be cut out. And to a certain extent, every single thing, if you do it, again, window 4, rebar straight in the middle. Window 3, from here to here, rebar on the way. And I assume that is some form of conduit for upstairs on the roof to bring maybe some of the solar down, and rebar. So 3 things got to be moved. So now we've finished the concrete. We have to spend time cutting it up and doing it. I mean, it's bad enough that, without being rude, this is meant to be a polished floor. So this is meant to be the finish. So as it is, yeah, it's okay, but it's not polished that we would be used to in the UK or in the US, that's for sure. So we've now got to think of, do we get someone else in to polish it again? And now it's dry, can you do that? Again, anyone out there that's in the construction world, which I know a few of you are out there, give me some ideas about what you do in your part of the world. I mean, America will probably be different to UK different to here. How are we going to fix what I see as reasonably rough work? Because if not, then I'm going to have to find a different surface. So I'm either going to have to, by the way, this here is the door tracks going all the way through the building. So I may have to raise the door tracks and then give myself enough height to put a new floor in here. But that then means I've got a difference in height on the outside. So options are get it repolished and try and get it to a satisfying finish, or potentially find something else to put down. I don't know what. I mean, in England I use Antico. It's a very thin tile, but again, you're meant to, I get away with it on here, but normally you would do a 10mm screed, you'd put down a glue, and you stick each one down. So you probably need about 12mm. We'd probably better stick straight down on this, so you probably better glue this and stick it straight down, but you still need 2 to 3mm. So it's not massive at height to physically have, but it does mean that when the doors go in, then I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to have a slight drop on the other side. And again, this is meant to be a polished concrete floor, so I shouldn't have to be thinking this way. It's another cost. And the other thing as well, which I don't know if I've shown you because I've lost my marbles today. I said this morning that we were finding rebar through the surface, and it's not rebar, it's wood. So we're finding it everywhere. We've dug a few up to try and double check and see what it is, and it is definitely wood. Now the downside to that is, where did it come from? It's not come from here. We've checked all day, and it's literally right inside. I mean, that one there with chiseled out, look. Loads of bits of wood. So clearly wherever they're getting their sand from, I assume it's sand. I mean, look. Wherever they're getting their sand from, it's dropping bits of wood. Now, that's bad enough. The downside to that wood is that whatever it is, it's leaving like a brown rust stain. So it made it look as if it was rebar, but it's not. It's obviously bleach. It's bleeding out its colour into the surface, and it's making it go like a rusty sort of look. So it's not too bad around this part. Well, saying that, I don't know how deep it is. I mean, the stuff we're seeing came out within 24 hours. So I'm fingers crossed it's actually stuff that, the stuff that we're seeing is the only stuff we're going to see, but it still needs to be rectified. Puddles, we do have a couple. We've got one big one here right in the middle of the patio area, which is a bit of a pain in the arse. This dirty great one in our electrical cupboard, which doesn't seem to disappear. So of all the areas in the house you don't want water to go to if you do have a flood, it's the electrical room. So we are going to have to think about what we do there. We're going to have to try and raise the actual height. But again, it's not just the electrical room, it's obviously the surrounding area of the electrical room. So we're going to have to think about what we do there, because we need to seal it in to ensure that we don't get water pouring into it. So if we can try and counteract the drop, then great. But if we can't, then we're going to have to try and seal the unit around the floor somehow to ensure that if there is any sort of flooding of some sort, that no water goes in underneath. A little bit where the kitchen's concerned as well. Again, being a kitchen, not ideal, but a lot of the water hasn't dried up today, which means that, you know, the slab has started to cool down, which is good news. And we are getting more of a whiter look to it at the moment. So I'm pretty sure that we'll be able to find somebody to polish this to a nice look. Not that we should have to, because that's what we pay to have, a polished floor. But we potentially could do that. The only thing obviously we need to work out is, where is all this bark or wood coming from, and can we get it all taken out? Tap left on. Yeah, can we get it removed? And if we do remove it, is it going to leave holes? And can we get those holes filled without actually leaving too much of a mark? I mean, look at it, look. So Rayside are the ones that actually did it, so they're the ones that are going to have to pick up the tab. And if the contractor provided his own people to lay and polish, which I think he did, he can hold Rayside responsible, because it's definitely been something that's, by the looks of it, has found its way into the cement via the sand. That's what I would say, because at the moment I've been at it all day. I've seen nothing come off the trees at all, not one thing. I mean, we've got these trees here, nothing comes off them apart from those pine needles that they've got, big long pine needles. They're bloody annoying. Other than that, I mean, I'm not seeing anything coming off the trees at all. And on top of that, if it came off the trees, it would have been landing as they were polishing, so they would have seen it. But it looks like as they polished, whatever it is come to the surface. So yeah, real pain in the backside. But as you can see here, we've got a bit of sun coming through the trees. It's not so bright. You can see the shine, semi-shine, off this piece. You can see the different colour. This was delivered, this was the last piece delivered, this piece here. So all of this square here, all the way along there, and it was the last piece in the least amount of heat. So the sun was probably about now, in fact, 5 o'clock. That's when that was laid. So whether it's you know, same in there as well. Whether it was the person that polished this piece, or whether it was a mixture of that plus the time that it was delivered, being that there's no sun, I really don't know. So at the moment, but it's saying that's the bit we wanted. We wanted it looking polished. So by the time we've actually cleaned it back and buffed it back, we should get a really nice finish. So we'll have to see what Rayside, who's the concrete company, they're meant to be coming tomorrow morning to assess the wood in the floor. And I'll talk to them about the polishing and everything else at the same time to see what they say. But we have to start looking at options, that's for sure. So yeah, other than that, not a very productive day, because obviously it's been spent meeting with the contractor and finding out what we're doing and where we're going. We've only had 2 labourers on site today who helped take off the formwork with the supervisor I've got. We have actually assessed one thing before we go. He came through the building from here, which is the main foyer. So as he came through, I mean, there's a couple of things you'll see as you come through, but I'll show you what I mean. So don't look at the 2 bits of rebar hanging through the floor for absolutely no reason. But as you come through here, there's going to be a 6-foot window here looking into the garden and the patio area. Doorway to the left into the house, doorway into the bathroom on the right. What he said was, that doesn't look straight. So we pulled a line from that nail there, as you can see, right in the middle of the front plywood. And we pulled a line all the way through to the middle and all the way to the back. And basically the line comes out 3 inches that way, which means the building is going that way. So not major, but if you want a dead straight wall, if that was going to be a concrete wall, for instance, you're going to see it a mile off. But because that's going to be open and the end's going to be concreted, and also we've got a recess for the window here, so rather than seeing out from there, you're going to see out from here, it should hide that line. But again, if he pulled lines and sprayed lines and marked lines, everybody would have laid and did their services to those lines. You know, this is the doorway into my living room. This is the centre of a 20-foot space, yeah? This is a 10-foot element of it. This is the centre. This is meant to be the doorway. I've got rebar straight in the middle of the doorway. So what you should have done was pulled lines through here, marked all their cross and said doorway, main doorway. As it is here, this is the electrical cupboard. Now, if we centralise the door, we might be all right. But again, a little bit of rebar stuck in the floor. Because again, if he marked out the doorway, do not put anything there, people would have known. So, but then saying that this is a hallway with nothing in it and 2 bits of rebar have suddenly appeared through the floor. So I don't know, I don't really know. Hopefully it wouldn't have happened if he actually did mark it out, but he didn't. So tomorrow, the first thing we're going to be doing, Supervisor Wayne, he's going to be literally pulling lines on everything. We're going to work out where all the windows should have been and what's got to be moved in order to put it back where it should have been. If it can't go where it was because there's something that's essential there, then where can we put it and why do we put it there? And we're going to have to make a decision. If things like this drain pipe here, for argument's sake, This is the upstairs gutter coming from the roof. It has to be there. Well, it has to be in this area anyway. But it's all of these columns, all of these block holes here along have all been filled with concrete. So as a result of that, this tube can only be put through where concrete hasn't been poured. So it's the only place it can now go. However, the window, as you can see, is now being marked out there, but it's meant to go here. So we have a choice. We move the window, or outside on the main wall, we literally cut all the way down the front of the building, both sides. We pull the concrete out and we put a pipe back through again. So that's a big job, obviously. So if we can move the window, as it is, we've looked at marking up and moving the window, for example. Put the window where it should have been, we'll have to lose that rebar, that drain pipe, and that bit of conduit, which is for electrics. So we've now decided to put it here, which is 8 inches from there. Means we're going to have to lose that rebar and that rebar. So it's easier to lose 2 bits of rebar than it is all of this. But it also means that the window is now off. So now we've got to ensure that this side of the bedroom, that window is also 8 inches from that side. Otherwise, from the front, it won't look right. So, and as you can see, we have again Stumpy 1, 2, and 3, Stumpy brothers, and we should be okay with that one if we can bang that. What they do here is they put tubes over the rebar and they bend it with the tube and they bang it with a hammer at the very bottom to try and keep it straight but bend the bottom. So we should be all right with that one. But why Ren and Stimpy have come out to play, I've got absolutely no idea. It doesn't make any sense. They're not even in a straight line. I was just, no idea. I was saying to the guys, when we're ready to pour, we have to have 1 full day before pour to check everything. Walk around, measure everything, check everything, mark everything out, make sure we're 100% before we pour. Because once you pour, you're done. There's nothing you can do. You can't, well, you can dig up concrete and you can make mess, but this is a polished floor. You can't be digging up stuff. He says as he walks past a big hole in the floor from wood. But anyway, in an ideal world, you're not digging up any holes and ruining the surface. It's meant to be one nice surface. Now that you're going to put new concrete down on old surfaces, it just doesn't look right. You can see it from a mile off. Doesn't matter how good your polisher is. So, plenty of work to do tomorrow. We've got all the formwork on the side here to come down. We've got that horrible mess down there to dig out. We've got to put the septic tank in over here. It doesn't look right now, I'm doing it reverse, sorry. The septic tank's going over here, all the actual drainage has come up here, back here, all the way down there. We've got to dig all that out this week. Blocks hopefully going to turn up tomorrow, so the guys can start laying blocks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks to have this built and the roof on. And in an ideal world, I want that one over there started, which should be a week. So we've got literally 3 weeks to get this building up and roof on, that building up and roof on, and then the windows go in and then fit out starts. So I don't know how long fit out's going to take. Obviously I need a lot of people to do that. But in an ideal world, I want to try and have the buildings up and done